everybody, here's Raphael from Ashley and Greg's production. Today, in our TV show, my amazing team and I will inform you about watershed. These are really important in an ecosystem, especially in a place like Prince Edward Island, where the water intervenes in every area of an islander life. We need water to live, to take shower, to bath all the fields, to fish and more. That's why it's more than important to take care of our watersheds and keep our water clean. So today, my team and I will try to teach to all of you what exactly is a watershed, why they are so important, why we should protect them, what are the issues related to watershed, and of course, we will show you concrete solutions for these issues. We will try to make of all of you aware expert of watershed and of course, make you change your bad habits and turn them into more ecological ones. You will soon learn that watersheds are related to other environmental issues like erosion and waste treatment. Obviously, we will mainly talk about watershed in the Prince Edward Islands because this is what concerns you the most. But we will also open our mind and go see how watersheds are all over the world. Isn't it amazing? So let's begin with Gillian, who will explain what is a watershed exactly.
So before we go deeper into the subject, it is important that all of you understand basically what a watershed is and what is its main role in nature. So a watershed, that can also be called a basin or drainage, is actually an area of land that holds water and allows to drain into the same larger body of water, like a lake or here in Prince Edward Island, the ocean. So let's put it more simply. Watersheds are practically like areas that hold rainwater and allow it to drain downhill. So any high point in a land marks the boundaries of a watershed. So one of the best examples of a watershed that I can give you is the Mississippi River watershed, which is the third largest watershed in the world, or the fourth because scientists don't all agree. Anyhow, it covers over 3 million square kilometers and collects approximately 42% of the water in the United States. The watershed is extremely important to the ecosystem of this country because it allows animals and plants to have access to drinkable and more or less clean water. So a watershed can cover a small or a very large area. The smaller ones are usually part of larger watersheds so that all the water that travels by rivers eventually ends up in a lake or in the sea. But whether it is a small or a large watershed, its content travels by three different ways. First by streams, like rivers, second by surface runoff or overland flow, which occurs when there is an excess of water and it flows over the surface of the earth. Finally, by infiltration, when the water enters the earth and travels underground. So such ways of transportation can lead to many environmental issues. For example, they affect the water quality because when the water passes by the earth's surface, sometimes it can pick up garbage and dirt. Or also when it infiltrates, sometimes the soil is already contaminated. But whenever one stream gets contaminated, it will most likely spread, which can be extremely problematic since this means that the entire watershed will be affected. And each and every one of us lives in a watershed area that provides water for us. So obviously, if it gets contaminated, it could lead to major problems, like for example, the decrease of potable water in an area. Now let's talk more about the watershed in PEI. The expert and ex-director of the PEI Watershed Alliance, Andrew Lush, confirmed that the island funds have a total of 235 watersheds and 25 groups of watersheds. They all vary in sizes, but the average is 8,000 hectares. Watersheds are really important here for the ecosystem, but mostly for agriculture.
Thank you very much, Gillian, for your really interesting and constructive explanations. I hope you guys enjoy your new knowledge, but that's not all. I still have two other teammates who will inform you about watershed. So now, let's learn about the watershed issues and the importance of them, especially in Prince Edward Island. Let's go with Natasha, who will answer those questions.
When we say Prince Edward Island, everybody thinks about tourism and potatoes. Those two things have something very important in common: water. The water that they use comes from watershed. It's the reason why watershed is so important in PEI. Unfortunately, there are a lot of major issues with watersheds in PEI. One of the biggest issues with watersheds in PEI is that people use too much water. They need it to drink, to shower, to clean, to cook, etc. This problem is even more present during summer since people need to drink more water and there are more people on the island because of tourism. As everyone knows, there are a lot of farmers in PEI. Farmers also use a lot of water to grow their potatoes. Potatoes need about 2 inches of water per week until they are finished growing.
If you add up all of the water that is used in Prince Edward Island, you will understand how much water it is. It is so much water that the rain can't replace the water that was taken from the watershed, so there is less and less water in them over years. The regress is bigger than what the land can offer. Another problem is that the water is contaminated. People pollute the water by putting trash into the water instead of putting them into the trash can. When the trash is mixed with the water, it contaminates it. Farmers are also responsible for a big part of the contamination of the water. A lot of farmers on PEI grow potatoes. Farmers need to put pesticides on their potatoes to protect them. Once the pesticides are on the ground, they are transported by the rain, the wind, etc., and they are dumped in the water. The only problem is that the pesticides protect the potatoes but not the water. They contaminate it. When the pesticides are in the water, fish absorb them and they die. The third problem with PEI watersheds is that the soil is starting to cover up the gravel that is in them. If the gravel is covered, fish can put their eggs in it, which means that there can be new fish. There is less and less fish in the watersheds in PEI because of this. These are just some examples among others, and it could become even worse in the future if nobody makes a move. Some future issues are threatening PEI's watersheds. Some watershed groups are afraid that the government will one day accept to buy some pipes to collect gas underground under the sources of fresh water. They said that the watersheds could be contaminated by this gas if a pipe breaks. It has been seen in the United States. This is a situation that could really happen here in Prince Edward Island. If watersheds are not safe, PEI could have to deal with a lack of fresh water.
Thank you, Natasha, to have shared your knowledge with us. But now I feel a little bit depressed to know all of these issues because I really love watersheds. I can't wait to know all the solutions against it. That's why I invite Veronique to inform us about those.
Thank you, Raphael. Like Natasha said before, watersheds are really important for all the population, not only on PEI, but even around the world. If we want to keep healthy watersheds, since they are our source of water number one, we better make the right movements. We all live close to a watershed, so all the activities that are planned around have an important impact on the watershed. If you are listening to the documentary and you feel like you want to do something to help, well, one of the solutions that you can adopt is getting involved in your local watershed group. These groups are always looking for more volunteers, so maybe you can be the next. These groups are doing this work without expecting money in return, and is not a government group, so they have to work by trial and error. The members don't have the chance to have great resources for the information on how to preserve their watersheds. Most of the time, they learn by themselves, so they might make some mistakes, but then they learn from their mistakes. When you are a member of a local watershed group, it means you participate in activities that are benefit for your community. For example, creating natural trails, improving wildlife habitat, or protecting natural resources. You will get the chance to learn more about your environment and you will become more familiar with the watershed who is close to your house. With all the great work of all the members of local watershed group, we can still have good water for all the population. People who volunteer are not only making a good act for themselves, but for the others around them and for the future generations. The quality of our watersheds do not determine only the quality of our house, but also the quality of our life. On PEI, thousands of islanders are actively involved in their community each year.
Thank you, Veronique, for your explanation. I feel really better since I know how to protect the water. I hope all of you will remember most of what we taught you today. And please remember also that we only have one Earth to live on and need to protect it as much as possible. This is an emergency. We need to realize it. I still believe that we can find a way to change our way of living into a more ecological one. We are the only animal with intelligence. Let's use it in the right way. I'm not only talking about watershed. Of course, they are part of it, but all the environment in general. We won't have a second chance. We have to change it now or never. There's a full of little things that everyone can and should make. We can start by this. I know you heard this speech a million of times, but I hope this time is the right one. Don't wait after the other. Be the inspiration. Be the change. So, on this, I hope you enjoy our show and see you next week on another Ashley and Greg production. Bye bye!